Hello, everybody. Spider here, DeFi Car Podcast, coming to you from San Antonio, Texas. We are located inside the House of Jiu-Jitsu. My guest today is the president of Level Up Boxing, James Hollon. James, how are you, bro?
Hey, what's up? Doing good.
Man, you just came down from New Braunfels, man. How was the trip out here?
It wasn't too bad. We came in early in the morning, so the traffic wasn't bad.
No, for sure, man. I mean, I deliver furniture for a living, and driving out there for me, man, that's like horrendous, dude. Because something that'll take me like 20 minutes will take me like 45 to an hour, bro. But man, I'm glad you're here. I brought you in for a few reasons, man. One of them is to talk about this promotion that you have coming up in Level Up Boxing. What is Level Up Boxing, and what are you looking to bring forth?
All right, so it's a boxing promotion, and we.
No, I mean it is going to be. You're going to be hosting amateur fights, of course. For boxing.
Yeah. We have several fights coming up. September 11th, we have boxing. It's going to be sanctioned through USA Boxing. We have 15 bouts, and it's all amateurs, but these guys are high-level amateurs, like Olympic hopefuls and things like this. Guys are getting ready to transition into the pros, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have it at Texas Ski Ranch, so it's a beautiful place, a lake, palm trees, beach, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
No, for sure, man. I mean, we had talked about this prior, man, and the fact that you're bringing combat sports in general back to New Braunfels, man. I mean, it's been a long time coming. I mean, as far as Texans, I mean, there's only like 3 promotions right now going on, and you doing this, it's gonna open doors. You obviously you plan to kind of do more afterwards.
Yeah, and exactly like you were saying, like now there's about 3 promotions, and that's about it. And a lot of these fighters that are trying to come up, they're just nowhere for them to fight, especially after COVID and having to take a year and a half off from even competing. And there's just nowhere for them to showcase their skills. And if you can't showcase your skills, you can't get that attention to get seen by the bigger promotions and be brought up. Back when I was fighting, I was literally fighting almost every other weekend, because I loved it, but the opportunity was there to go compete and go fight, and right now there just isn't. And so we needed to bring something else to them, and these guys, like I said, they're trying to come up, but they can't because they have nowhere to showcase their skills. So we're starting out with boxing, because who doesn't love watching people get hit in the face?
You're a boxer. You come from boxing yourself, of course.
Yes. So most of my career, I'm known for MMA, but I've always loved boxing. Boxing is what I fell in love with. Actually, I was a pure jiu-jitsu guy actually at first, and wrestled in college. Then I got to the point where everyone was like, "Hey, just don't go on the ground with James," and then people kept calling me Jiu-Jitsu James and all that, and I was at 155 at the time. I had 2 title fights, one against Aaron Suarez,
right.
And I just couldn't get him to the ground, and then he just beat me standing. Same thing. In West Texas, I fought Shadow Scott, and he just beat me standing. Like every time I'd shoot, he would sprawl, and then he would just stay north-south. When I'm ready to counter, if he comes around the back,
right.
But he would stay north-south till the ref stood us up, or I would try to clinch him against the cage and get him down, and then he would just wrap my arms up until the ref split us apart and just beat me standing. And I was like, man, I need to learn some boxing or stand-up or something, because I can't get some of these top-level guys down to the ground. And I was in the Army. They had boxing. I went and tried it out. Found out I had just a natural talent for it.
Right.
I mean, back then I was 140, 145, and me being 6 foot with arms this long. I mean, I kind of have an advantage.
No, yeah, it makes sense. You have the reach, man.
The height and the reach, exactly. And so if someone tries to close that distance, I'm hitting them 3 or 4 times before they can land one. But guess what? I'm pivoting or moving out the way, And same thing, the lower level guys, a lot of them tend to be grapplers, jiu-jitsu guys or wrestlers, and with my height and reach, they're having to shoot from so far away. I'm able to sprawl or time a knee, or
Yeah, man.
catch them. But
And that's funny. I mean, as far as like when you first started, I mean, we had talked about this prior. Now, your first pro fight you said was in West Texas, correct?
first profile, Frisco, north of Dallas.
North of Dallas. There you go. And you said it was for the Steel Cage promotion.
Yes, it was.
Now, going into that fight, man, let me ask you. I mean, had you had experience before that as far as amateur, or was this?
Oh yeah,
fight?
definitely. I fought so much in the amateurs. Like I said, sometimes there was a span where I fought one day on a Sunday, or it was a Saturday, and the very next Sunday I fought again. You know, because the minimum was 7 day, suspension after a fight. So it just worked it out. So on the 8th day, I was doing another fight. I was fighting everywhere and all the time. And before I went pro, I wanted to make sure I was ready because you get a couple losses and you're done.
Yeah.
And so I'd gathered with several title fights at MMA. I got the West Texas MMA featherweight belt against Paco Castillo.
Right.
I had won many jiu-jitsu tournaments. I went to nationals wrestling in college. I was competed all-army 4 times for combatives, and then I was an all-army boxing team for 2 years. And so I made sure to just cover all my bases. I even won a couple of Muay Thai tournaments, all as amateurs. And so I wanted to make sure I was good at every aspect before moving to the pros. And then it worked out really well for my pro debut. So
no, for sure, man. I mean, I wasn't even aware of half the stuff that you mentioned, man. I mean, that's pretty cool. I mean, obviously you wanted it to be well-rounded. I mean, back then we're talking about like 8 years plus, maybe. As far as when all this was going on. Back then, I mean, we had promotions popping up left and right, and like you said, there was a stage for everybody. So people were fighting like literally like once a week, once a month, twice a month. I mean, is that kind of like what you want to bring back? I mean, as far as like level up boxing, of course, get a stage and get more people, maybe do it like once a month, or what's your schedule look like?
Definitely want it to be a semi-regular. So currently I have a boxing event September 11th.
Right.
In New Braunfels at Texas Ski Ranch. Then October 2nd, so the very next month, we have Texas Catch Wrestling Coalition coming in. So we're going to have grappling in a cage. So it's catch wrestling. So the way I like to explain it, it's kind of like dirty jiu-jitsu.
Right.
Because in jiu-jitsu, you're not allowed to slam. They get rid of a lot of the leg locks, and this is, people are like, oh, there's no striking, it's not going to be exciting, but it is actually really exciting, a lot of fun to watch, because like I said, even though there's no striking, it's still pretty brutal, and you can end up being bloody because they encourage slams. In fact, there's a bonus if you knock out your opponent with a slam. So,
oh wow, I wasn't even aware of that, man.
So they, like I said, it's like dirty jiu-jitsu. You're digging your elbow in someone's shin, your chin in their back, and trying to like really rip each other's heads off. Neck cranks are legal, so
wrist locks.
Yeah, wrist locks, everything. It's pretty fun.
You see, and I personally like that, man, because when it comes to grappling or even just jiu-jitsu, man, I mean, a lot of times people they stalemate, they stall.
Yeah.
And it gets boring. I mean, if I'm in somebody's guard and I can't break the guard, I mean, I want to be able to put pressure, go for a wrist lock just to create an opening, or, like you said, take the elbows in, because, people, otherwise it gets boring, man. And I mean, all the respect to the, jiu-jitsu guys out there, because I know they train a lot for this, but it's just, I can't sit there and watch the whole, round with people not wanting to go for a submission or anything like that.
So that's where this is different, because the emphasis is, it's catch wrestling. Emphasis is on the wrestling. They want to see takedowns and slams. And so the first time I actually competed for them twice, and the first time I did kind of get a little frustrated, because I'd get the guy on the ground, and then I'm very methodical in the way I work. And so I get him on the ground, I get side control, I'm working for a submission, but then we get stood up. and it happened like 3 times, and it's because you get a limited time on the ground.
Right.
And so if me back at that point, I like to get top and could really control my opponent and do everything slow and methodical.
Right.
Like you might know what I'm doing, but you're not going to be able to stop it.
No, definitely,
kind of
man. I mean,
mind frame.
A lot of it too, it's a setup.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just like, I mean, for me, I tell people an arm bar is an arm bar is an arm bar, but it's how you set it up and how you get into it that makes it different, man. Because you can go from different angles. You can put pressure on the leg and then go for something else.
Exactly. So with the catch wrestling, there's no butt scooting is not allowed, no jumping guard, and like I said, if you're on the ground, you get about 20 seconds or so to work. Otherwise, they're standing you back up. So it really, and then on top of that, it's a smaller than normal cage.
Right.
So it really just presses the action, and so none of the matches are ever boring.
For sure, man. I mean, you have talked about one of your prior matches, and this was against Colton Smith.
Yeah.
People that know him, I mean, UFC guy. He came in. You stepped up. I don't think you guys weren't scheduled to compete, correct? Something happened.
No, yeah, I had several opponent changes actually. Yeah, leading up to it. So
when they offered you the fight or the grappling match, I mean, you jumped on it.
Yeah, I was like, let's do it. I mean, I came out of retirement, and I wanted to kind of prove that I still got it, and so what better way to prove than a top level dude?
No joke, dude. And like I said, I mean, the guy was in the UFC. I mean, he is, like yourself, you're an Army veteran.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service, my man. And Colton Smith's the same. He's actually still military, I believe, correct?
I'm not 100%. I know he works with them a lot, so still. He's over there in Virginia.
Yeah, man. And I mean, I know he's got, friends. I know he was up in north of Boston. Some of the guys out there with the teams, man. I mean, he's actually had a lot of exposure here in Texas. So, I mean, bringing them down was actually pretty cool. I mean, I wish I would have made it, and I would have, gotten his autograph after the match, of course. I wouldn't disrespect you like that, man. But yeah, man. I mean, I'm a fan. I've been covering mixed martial arts for years, man. And like I said, I mean, when this first started, you were there competing. I was there covering the fights, doing photos, doing video. Now, Level Up Boxing, like you said, it is coming. It is going to be in New Braunfels, Texas. I'm going to be coming in, doing photos. For those listening, go to the Facebook pages, my man. I mean, we've got the Fight Card Podcast, myself, Level Up Boxing, of course. Hit the like, follow up, man. Get in there and throw some comments. It's going to be a lot of entertainment coming up. And my man, I'm going to wrap this one up, but I will bring you right back. So thank you for stepping up, coming in, and we'll be right back. For everybody out there, man, the Fight Card Podcast, subscribe and follow up.